1950s brought into the U.S. many lifestyles of people that were seen before World War II.
Not only did the Beat Generation have a distinctive lifestyle, but it also produced its own literature. The booming literature center was located in San Francisco. It was known as San Francisco Renaissance. The writing style, stream of consciousness, was a result of Eastern religious teachings, and the rhythms of progressive jazz caught a nation weary from World War II and caught the battles of the Korean Peninsula by surprise. The How, written by Allen Ginsberg in 1956, marks a major turning point in the history of beat literature. How is a long-form poem that is meant to be read aloud or chanted. Ginsberg's book How takes the reader on a tour of the underside of America. How has a notion of what is acceptable literature. Then, William S. Burroughs wrote the novel Naked Lunch in 1962. This novel explored psychedelic and surrealistic consciousness that verged on nihilism. This was an extreme that was respective of certain beat writers. Lawrence Ferlinghetti came to San Francisco in the early 50s and he opened the City Lights bookstore. City Lights became a major place to go during the Beat Generation. Ferlinghetti's poems incorporated rhythms of jazz. He sometimes gave public readings accompanied by jazz musicians. The Beat Generation had a very distinctive style along with many famous authors of the time.
The 1950s brought into the United States an entirely new art form. While most countries were trying to recover the physical damage they suffered from World War II, America was left virtually unscathed. This opportunity led to the growth of American culture without the influence of Europeans. Once the war was over, there was a large group of artists gathered in New York City, and they became close friends. These friends collaborated and eventually came up with abstract art. The style of art is known as action art. It also rejects the idea of social realism in geometric art. Another type of new art is beat art. This style was completely new in America. Beat artists believed conformity was a bad thing, so they did not want to create anything that they considered popular. Beat art was usually 3D objects that was made of things not considered artistic. Many people described it as junk. People also liked to combine sculpting and painting. They would make sculptures coming off of walls. One of the most famous beat art pieces is called Watt Towers, which is 9 towers made of steel and covered with shards of glass. The last popular style of art is pop art. This was mostly the recreation of famous American symbols and pictures and turned into a painting. These images were found in everyday American culture. The most well-known artist is Andy Warhol. That's it.
Snap, what a happy sound. Snap is the happiest sound I've found. You may clap, rap, tap, slap, but snap makes the world go round. Snap, crackle, pop, Rice Krispies. I say it's crackle, the crispy sound. You gotta have crackle or the clock's not wound. Geese cackle, feathers tickle, bells buckle, beats pickle, but crackle makes the world go round. Snap, crackle, pop, Rice Krispies. I insist that pop's the sound. The best is missed unless pop's around. You can't stop hopping when the cereal's popping. Pop makes the world go round. Snap, crackle, pop, Rice Krispies. Let's go for Kellogg's Rice Krispies. Snap, it's crackle, what a happy sound. You gotta have crackle or the clock's not bound. You can't stop hopping when the cereal's popping. Snap, crackle, pop makes the world go round.
By the 1950s, the American dream encompassed ideas of futurism and opportunity. The focus was obtaining the perfect American household. This was having a house in the suburbs, a steady job, being married, and having a few kids. Most men found jobs in the field of business, and many strived to be the company man. Most Americans accepted these societal norms and conformed to this lifestyle. However, the beat movement clashed with the tidy suburban view by supporting social and literary nonconformity of artists, poets, and writers. It was centered in New York's Greenwich Village, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. These beatniks rejected the American dream and advocated self-expression and exploration through drugs, music, spirituality, and an open-minded engagement with the world. They had strong anti-materialist views and opposed conformity in mainstream America. These beatniks inspired rebellious teens. Teen rebels and juvenile delinquency became more prominent. Many more young people began to commit crime. Overall, these countercultures shaped society in the late 50s and early 60s.
The Organization Man and On the Road were two very popular books in the 50s and 60s. They both had to do with the quick change in American society. The Organization Man was written by William H. White in 1956 and mainly focuses on the problems that occurred in the corporate and social aspects of American life. The book claims that society was not stable, and the rapid growth and prosperity after the Great Depression and World War II brought unexpected changes. White was not the only person to criticize this change, though. Psychologists, economists, and socialists wrote best-selling books about how this change wasn't all that good. White thought that big businesses, bureaucracy, and suburban living had ruined the ethics that America once had, like hard work and self-motivation. On the Road, written by Jack Kerouac, was published in 1957. Unlike The Organization Man, this book stirred a lot of controversy, and several companies refused to publish it. The manuscripts were even sent to lawyers because the original characters were the names of real people, and Kerouac could have been guilty of libel. The book's main focus was the shocking new lifestyle of the Beat Generation and how they didn't want to give in to the conformity of society. It has been said that Kerouac wrote the book in only 3 weeks, but whether this is true or not, the book was extremely popular and on the bestseller list for a couple years in a row.
The 1950s was a time of changes, and the music of the decade both reflected the cultural changes that were happening while still holding on to the social norms of the past. Traditional pop music, or nice guy music, refers to the music that was popular before rock music came into the mainstream in the mid-50s. Artists such as Frank Sinatra, Guy Mitchell, and Rosemary Clooney were very popular at the time. Most songs in the genre could be classified as being simple and melodic with catchy lyrics. Traditional pop music was found to be approved and extremely popular by all age groups. By the 1950s, true Americana, or folk music, had become extremely popular. Young people everywhere clamored to get a piece of famous artists such as Woody Guthrie. The music that came to be known as rock and roll first emanated from rhythm and blues, and folk music played in backroom bars in African American neighborhoods. Adam Woog, author of The History of Rock and Roll, describes how during the 1950s, a time of strict conformity, the wild rhythms of rock and roll music painted a rainbow of color across an otherwise black and white decade. The United States was about to embark on a musical journey that would change the face of music for decades to come. Singers such as Elvis Presley, Chuck Berry, and Little Richard, and Billy Haley and the Comets were creating something that changed the face of music forever. Performances shocked the conservative population with their lyrics and the way they moved on stage. Parents believed it to be a factor of teenage misbehavior and rebellion.